And I know it sounds like something you're going to see on a Hallmark card or on a self-help book or in a Pinterest quote with some like flowery, pretty background, but I just want you to stay with me. I think what I used to do, and maybe what you're doing too, is to try to think through and logic through and muscle your way into figuring out what's next for you. What's up, listeners? Get ready for raw, unfiltered, laugh out loud conversations among friends. So take your bra off, get comfy, and let's jump into our show. You guys, usually I use a script when I do these solo episodes because I want to remember what I have to say. But the honest part is that as I started to use the script for this conversation, I realized this doesn't even sound like me. So I'm backing up because one of my core values is authenticity, and I'm authentically telling you, I'm going to do an episode on rest while I'm tired. And to me, this really drives home the point of rest and taking care of yourself and first practicing what I preach. So I'm someone who has a really hard time taking time for themselves, and you might be that person too. I say, hey, if you are go, 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 or you're like, I know I should rest, but man, I just got to get in that last load of laundry. Welcome to my team. You are Team Jennifer. And this message is for you and me. Maybe your calendar looks like a game of Tetris right now. You're trying to figure out how you're going to get the kid to the next practice. Maybe you're trying to figure out, like, when do I have time for my dreams? Or there's something huge that you're figuring out. I know a lot of people who listen to this podcast are in a season of change and transition. You could be considering a new career. You could be thinking about your kids getting older. Maybe they're already out of the house. Or maybe you just have this feeling inside of you that something's different and you have this like overwhelming feeling to get up and like leave the country, which I think a lot of us do right now if you're in the United States. But the key is like when we are in this state of frenzy, you can't really move beyond those pivotsies. I think what I used to do, and maybe what you're doing too, is to try to think through and logic through and muscle your way into figuring out what's next for you. So you're like writing lists, or you're reading self-help books, or you're doing something super, super active, and you're asking that left brain part of you to come up with answers. But what I have learned in my old ass age is that slowing down is actually the thing that helps you make decisions. Rest is actually the thing that creates that rich life that you really want. And I know it sounds like something you're going to see on a Hallmark card or on a self-help book or in a Pinterest quote with some like flowery, pretty background, but I just want you to stay with me. First of all, I want to acknowledge you do have a ton of stuff going on. Like most of the people who are the type of people who listen to this show, they have kids, they have work, they have family, they have people texting you like it's freaking customer service. And it's so easy to fall into that pattern of busy because it's chaos and it's important and all of it feels important. Well, I can't cancel on my kids because they're my kids and I love them. I can't cancel on my mom. I can't cancel on work. That's how I make money. So what happens? You cancel yourself and you don't even realize you're doing it. I definitely used to be the person who wore my busyness as a badge of honor. I was on the go. I was making it happen, making it work. It was when I was transitioning into fitness, into my fitness business. I would get up 4 a.m. or earlier. I'd go to the gym. I'd work out for like a solid hour. Sometimes I trained clients at the gym. Sometimes I did other gym stuff. I would shower there, go into my 9 to 5 job, and then be multitasking, do 8 million things, and then run home, get kids, and somehow work on my business again, figure out dinner, and then hit the repeat button. I would do that all the time. The only time I actually slowed down was when my body made me slow down, like when I'd get sick. And my body was trying to tell me, it's like, you want to rest, don't you? Oh, you don't? Okay, let me introduce you to bronchitis. I would literally just run myself into the ground and my body would be like, we keep taking her near death. When is she going to finally get the message? And I was stubborn. I didn't, because every single message that I'd ever received about success and figuring things out, it was this message around action. I had to keep doing it. But the reality is that is a big lie. Productivity does not solve everything. If you're stressed or you're trying to figure something out, the answer is not doing more. It's not muscling through. It's not being active. And I did this great video, if you check it out on YouTube, about the power of settling or being quiet or something. It's a really great sand jar analogy. And I encourage you to check that out, because when I had that conversation with my therapist, it clicked
that the key to learning about what my next chapters were had nothing to do about knowing and figuring and action and doing steps 1 through 3. It had to do with taking a step back and letting it go. So the people who are bragging about like, oh, I only slept 4 hours of sleep, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's like they're running through life on autopilot. And you might see, and maybe in your old life, and this is kind of how I was, you would see benefits of that life, right? Like you'd earn money. Like I was pretty successful. I earned a lot of money. I made over 6 figures. People like me. I did all this great stuff. You could buy things, but then you have this like cart full of stuff and items that you can't enjoy or you don't care. And then I found myself literally one day pulled off on a park and ride crying because I was so overwhelmed. So the whole idea of this whole productivity leads to happiness is a lie. It's a lie. And I think there's also a part of it. I mean, I always tell people sometimes you do bad things to yourself, but there's always some level of benefit. And one of the other benefits that people sometimes experience is when they're busy and they're taking on all this responsibility is this benefit of feeling needed, feeling useful, feeling desired. Like people need me at work. I have to be the one to do this project. People will look at me like I'm some sort of superhero, or I'm at home and I need to do all this stuff for my family. They need me. They can do it by themselves. That's the real thing. You're out here being the CEO of everyone else's life, and you're not even getting any benefits. You're not. And if you think like, oh, I'm resting, I go on vacation. Yeah, maybe you have like 10 days of PTO, or you go on vacation for 6 days out of 365 days of the year. It's not how it works. You can't just, I'll rest on vacation. I'll wait till things calm down, or when my kids get out of school, we'll have plenty of time. Honey, let me tell you something. It never calms down. It never slows down. It never stops. You have to create the rest, the space, the things that you need. It's a purposeful blank space in your day. That's how I talk about rest. It's the kind of time where nothing is required. It's not like you're just chilling and then, oh, I'm going to do some laundry. It's not about productivity. You want to forget about productivity and achievement. You don't want to just knock this task out real quick. And I think the thing that I want to say to you is that I don't think rest should be this other thing that fits in your day. I think your day should be built around spaciousness and rest. And maybe the work and other stuff is just sprinkled in. And I can already hear you saying like, oh, that must be nice, Jennifer. Well, rich people can do that. And I have to work for a living and I have kids and I have all these responsibilities. And I get that. And I recognize that that is kind of a controversial take. But I do also feel like we have to start shifting the mentality around how our days and our bodies and our mind and what we need. And we need rest. And if we don't start to create it, if we don't literally have that big shift in our lives, we're never going to do it. It's going to be all this like cute 5 minutes here and there, and you need more. When I was going through my marriage ending, when I was moving, when I was going through all these things, like I'm the queen of the pivot. I'm the queen of the midlife crisis. I'm the queen of the big changes. And I can tell you for certain, every single time I was in that period, the time where things became clear or the times when I was not thinking about it at all, when I literally allowed myself to just be. When I literally allowed myself to just be, because action is not what's going to solve it. It's not. Because when you try to do that, you're working through these huge choices, these huge decisions. You're physically drained, you're emotionally drained, you're mentally drained. And you think you're going to make a good decision from that place? Absolutely not. Marriage was ending. I decided to move to Vegas, but that's all I really knew. And I was so physically, emotionally exhausted. I was tired. I'd gained 40 pounds just being stressed the fuck out. I had dark circles. My dark circles had dark circles. I looked like I was auditioning for a zombie apocalypse movie. I mean, like I said, I'd made the one decision about Vegas, but everything else about my life was so unsure. I felt so stuck. I had no clue what I wanted to do. And you know what I did? My friend who absolutely loved me said, and was hosting a retreat. And she's like, you need this. I'm like, I can't afford it. She's like, I'm going to help you afford it. And she worked with me and I went on the retreat and it totally changed everything. And you know what it was? It wasn't the activities. We barely did anything by Western standards. It was the space. It was doing nothing. It was having activities that were restful, like going to the pool. If you wanted to do yoga, you could. I got a massage. And I wasn't expected to do anything because growth actually doesn't happen when you're doing. It happens when you're at rest. And that retreat was exactly what I needed. The first 2 days, I opted out of most of the activities and I just laid in the bed in the room, and it was quiet and it was peaceful. And then when I did decide to engage, there were activities that really championed slowness and reflection, and it was great. And I felt so much more clear after 6, 7 days being in that retreat than I had after 3 to 4 months of trying to decide what I wanted my life to look like. Because the real result is that you need rest to make these decisions. You grow at rest. And I am a former personal trainer, so let me do a little meathead muscle analogy. When people want to grow muscle, when they want to change their bodies, when they want to, get a booty or, get bigger chest muscles, if the guys want to do that, or the women, it doesn't matter. Your training schedule is you work your muscle group or you work a full body or whatever, and you need at least 2 full days. So for an hour or 45 minutes or however long your workout is, you are productive. You're actually breaking down your muscle, and it's in rest that your body repairs itself and that the muscle grows. It's the rest. So first of all, just a tip, if you are working out and everything, please build in rest in your routine. As I've gotten older and the way that I train, I only train for 3 days the majority of the week, and I don't train very long. It's 35, 40 minutes max. And then the rest of the time is literally rest, because I know mentally, physically, emotionally, that rest time is where the true benefit comes in. So if you're never resting and you're struggling through these big life changes or pivot points, or even what you want to eat the next day, if you're not resting, you're never able to really rebuild or build. You just break down. And then you feel like you're not making progress. And then you have all these stories that you tell yourself. You feel stuck and all this other stuff. So if you're really at this point in your life where you're really thinking about what's next for me, what are you doing? What am I doing? You're constantly thinking, but you don't have any results. You don't know. You don't have any answers. It's because you're not giving yourself any recovery time. It's like you're trying to live in a permanent leg day. That should be illegal. You don't want that. That's horrible and painful. So I want to give you another alternative, and I want to give you permission that you will be more successful the less that you do. I really want to tell you, do less. The more I rest, the more time I take for myself, the more successful I have become. And you know what? It feels good too. So I've gone from the woman who has 800 things stacked up before 9 a.m. to someone who's like, my day kind of starts at 9. I know that sounds backwards from everything that we've been taught, but it is so true. When you're rested, you make better decisions. You stop reacting. You stop chasing. You stop doing dumb stuff out of panic, and you just start being. You start being exactly who you're meant to be. And I don't want you to keep saying yes to things that drain you. I want you to be aligned. I want you to be who you want to be. I want you to live your best life. So the moral of this story, and I'll wrap it up, is that as you're thinking about your next chapter, or the next version of you, do less. Don't do nothing. Not do less because you're lazy. You're not lazy. We got to get those old productivity things out of your head. Do less because you're tired. Do less because you deserve peace. You deserve to feel good. And do less because you're trying to build a rich life, not a busy one. So I know you're probably hearing this stuff and saying, I know what you're saying. I totally get it, Jennifer, but it's so hard. Or where can I start? It's so much easier said than done. I was just like you. That's what I used to say all the time. This kind of stuff is a luxury. I can't do it. I can't afford it. And I'm going to call you out right now, just as someone did to me who loved me. I call bullshit. I believe that your life is full. I absolutely believe that. But we're going to make time and effort for the things that are really important. Yes, you have real responsibilities, but you've convinced yourself you can't do it. We've convinced yourself that you don't have an option, but you do. you absolutely have the option to take a step back and rest. You just probably don't like the discomfort of changing how you operate. I know I didn't. I know it was almost like painful to stop doing a lot of things. I felt so much obligation and the weight and the shame. But I want to tell you a few ways of how I've built downtime and rest into my days and in my life as someone who's not a millionaire, as someone who had kids, or now I'm an empty nester and I have responsibilities and all of this other stuff. But it doesn't have to be dramatic. It really doesn't have to be craziness. It can be really simple things, like when you spend time with yourself. And I do that by like sitting outside, walking in my neighborhood with no agenda. Like I'm not working out, I'm not doing whatever. Bed rot, that's my favorite, you know? I have this great story. So sometimes I take myself on little dates, right? And one time I took myself to dinner and a movie. It was around holiday time and I was craving like warm tomato soup. So I went to this place, got some tomato soup and adult beverage, and it was a holiday, so there was some like holiday display. So I walked around and looked at the lights and took my warm soup belly and my big warm puffy coat and I went to the movies. And guess what? I fell asleep for like 60% of the movie and it was glorious. It was like, this is real self-care. I had a $17 nap in one of those movie reclining chairs, and that kind of rest was great. I wasn't trying to like, oh, I have to watch this movie, I have to do this. I just was able to rest and shut my brain off. I wasn't making lists, I wasn't whatever, and I stopped that spiral. So another kind of rest is what I call the treat yourself rest. And, you know, if I'm Parks and Rec, treat yourself 2011, that Donna and Tom energy. And that's when you do something that just relaxes your body. I like a low budget version for me. So people were like, oh, I can't afford massages and stuff like that. Me neither, girl. So sometimes I just like literally lay on the floor and stretch, or I play with my dogs or take a hot shower. You know, I just do nothing but existing. And sometimes like laying on the floor like a big old rotisserie chicken feels like the best thing in the world. And then the last thing, which I know might be the hardest thing for many of us, it was hard for me, is get help. And you might just be like clenching your jaw right now because you're thinking like, I can't afford help, or I can't do this, or I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to ask people and I just do it myself, that kind of thing. And when I mean get help, it means letting go of the things you think you have to do. So I am someone, for example, I just started simplifying and outsourcing. Like I'm a good cook. I can cook. It's good. My food is good. I get lots of compliments. I like my food. I can throw down a little bit in the kitchen, but I hate cooking. The idea of cooking every single day for myself is exhausting. I do not enjoy it. So instead of thinking like I had to make all this gourmet meals and stuff, I'm like, it's just me. I'm going to do some shortcuts. Bag salad. Costco has this great little pre-cooked chicken breasts, yogurt, nuts, protein shakes, like things that I can just literally grab and go. And I don't think I've turned on my oven in several months, maybe to like make brownies for the holidays, but like not real food cooking. And the world didn't end. I didn't go to jail. And in fact, I'm even eating really healthy right now. So I'm still eating healthy, balanced meals. I got my time back though. And I outsourced the things that took time and took away from me feeling relaxed and rested. So what I really want you to hear again, and I'm going to say it 100 million times, rest isn't lazy. Rest doesn't mean you're weak or not productive. You're not doing something. You don't have to earn it. It's not a little quick vacation or a nap. It's the thing, that big spaciousness, that big pause where your mind, your body, your emotions can just sit, right? And if you are someone who's in one of those pivot points like I was when I was seriously amped up and crazy, you know, divorce or, you know, something changing, people leaving the house, whatever, stop trying to hustle your way into clarity. Stop trying to like read all the books and check all the lists, because that's not where your clarity is going to come from. It's going to come from those quiet spaces, those quiet, restful places where your body's calm, your mind's calm, you're not all over the place. So if you've been listening to this and you're like, oh goodness, this is me, I'm exhausted, I've got to figure this out, I don't know what I want to do anymore, I don't want to keep living like this, or whatever the script is that has been playing in your head, my friend, I've made something for you. I've recently created the Brave Retreat. And if you followed me, you know, my Brave framework is really helpful for people who are moving into a next chapter in your life. So this retreat is exactly the same thing. It's for people who are in that pivot point. They're moving into next chapter. You don't know exactly what to do. You know, you don't want a course or a space or a checklist. And when I say you need space, I think you need space. You need rest. You need to remember who you are. You probably might feel like right now your soul is waving a little white flag, like, please help me. So this is your sign. You can apply for this retreat at finallyjennifer.com/retreat. And if you're wondering, like, who all gonna be there, I'll tell you what, this is not meant to be this like, oh, everybody come and 8 million people. It's gonna be a couple really great, amazing guides, including myself, who have a history of helping people navigate through pivot points, who have been through these pivot points, and a really small group of women just like you. And let me tell you, the agenda is not a lot of busyness. There's going to be a lot of space. There's going to be a lot of cool experiences that allows you to reflect and really walk away with clarity. And I need to say this. This is the ask for help opportunity you might need, right? Remember, I was like, the asking for help is really hard. You don't have to figure this out by yourself. You don't have to figure out the what's next by yourself. And rest is not a break from your life. It's how you come back to your life. So if you're down, go to finallyjennifer.com/retreat and apply. We'll see if it's a fit. And I'm excited if it is. We'll see you this fall.
Thanks for listening to Bras Off. If you love the show, make sure you go to brasoffpod.com to subscribe and join our community.